Hey there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to do 3 different cards using a coffee cup die set. There's really 2 different die sets. They are from Trinity Stamps. I will show you those in depth, and then we're going to make some polar pals with these. But you can use these ideas for a lot of different things. Okay, so here are the 2 die sets. This on the right is the coffee on the go set. On the left, we have the takeout coffee cup, which is a shaped card. So the coffee on the go is going to create a takeout style cup that's just plain by itself, and that's the one we're going to use, and then we'll get to the shaped card. So I'm going to take that shape of the actual cup, the bottom of the cup, and cut a window into this pattern paper that's going to allow me to create a shaker, and I'll save the fallout piece for my next card. Okay, so I am now using that piece to kind of add some shading to the background that will be my shaker. So I just turned it to the back side so that I can use it to ink up, and then it won't show on my shaker because I'm using the back side. But I'm going to get a little bit of shadowing. That's going to show up in my background, but also is going to be a guide for me to line up my cardstock once I go ahead and create my shaker. Does that make sense? There we have a little shadowing. Okay, so now on the back, I'm going to add some adhesive and put down my window sheet. This is going to create the front of my shaker and allow everybody to see into this cup and give it the look of a plastic coffee cup. All right, so now I'm adding the foam tape, which is crucial to a shaker. We got to have it, and we want to make sure whenever building a shaker that the ends of the foam tape are lining up so that none of our shaker mix can escape. So I have 3 different mixes here from Trinity Stamps. I'm using some snowflakes, and then these are new to the shop. Maybe you haven't seen them yet. They're ice cubes. Oh my word. They're so cute. So I'm using those inside my shaker. This is going to be a snowman because there's an add-on for these dies that you can turn them into little characters. I've already done the nutcracker, the Santa, and the gingerbread on my channel, and now I'm doing the polar pals. So there's my little mix, some blue snowflakes, some white iridescent snowflakes, and the ice cubes. It's so good. So I like quite a bit in here because it's a really big shaker. I've removed the backing on my foam tape, and I felt pretty confident about just setting down my background like this. But if you don't, you can always put a window sheet on that, and then it's encapsulated and you can put it down over the top of your background. Okay, there's the Polar Pal set. It's going to give you all the dies you need to create a penguin, a snowman, and a bear. I'm going to do all 3 for you today and show you different ways to use these coffee cups. So there is a scarf in here. I'm going to use the scarf on all of them because it's what makes them like so cutesy, and I think it's really fun. So there's a piece for the scarf that goes across the cup, and there's one piece that like hangs down. I cut that twice so I could have 2 ends to my scarf, and I can just like situate them so they're offset. I cut the button out twice because that's what I thought would fit best on my card. And then I'm doing some eyes and the mouth, which I love that they're each 1 die. So I don't have like to cut every circle for his mouth like 5 times. I can just cut it once and get the 5 circles. There's also a die in here for a carrot nose, which I am cutting from some orange craft foam. I love that look for a die cut snowman. All right, in this set there is a 2-piece die set for the lid, so you can layer them and it embosses detail into the lid for you, and it just looks so realistic. So I cut that from black because that made like the most realistic snowman hat. And then I'm going to shade this with some Lost Shadow ink. This is my favorite shading ink, which I did learn from my friend Larissa. She's a paper crafting wizard, y'all. Larissa Heskett. You can find her on Instagram. And I love the Lost Shadow because you can use it on colored cardstock and white cardstock. Great for shading. All right, then we put all the things together. So the buttons are getting glued down. I'm adding on the scarf, but kind of not gluing it in place yet, using it as a placeholder so I can figure out like the spacing of all the things. I don't sometimes like to glue stuff down right away because then I realize, that's too high, that's too low. That happens to all of us in paper crafting. And so once I have that in place, then I'm using my tweezers to help me put down all the little tiny pieces. I like to do the middle the ends, and then fill in the gaps when I'm doing something like this that I want to be somewhat evenly spaced. And now that I have that taken care of, I can go ahead and put my little scarf together. Isn't it super cute? It's so perfect and so easy to do. So there it is. We'll glue that in place, and I just love using the like blue and purple and kind of pinkish colors for wintry cards, and I think that's great for maybe somebody who doesn't celebrate Christmas but you want to give them a holiday themed card. You can do a winter card. Plus I just love snowmen all the time, and penguins. So this set just makes me happy. All right, this little stopper is actually from the takeout shaped card. It is just perfect. It's the finishing touch for this little coffee cup. It fits right in that little opening. I added a clay star to that to decorate it up, and then I needed a little bit more decoration for my card. So I have this hot foil snowflake set from Trinity Stamps, and I'm going to use some speckled hot foil, and I think it's called Prism, and it's silver, it's speckled, and it has like a little bit of an iridescent shine. It's so good. And one thing to note, if you are doing hot foiling on colored cardstock, you want super smooth cardstock. I recommend Spellbinders. It's so good. So good. So I just did a bunch of these. They come out so cute. And the other thing that I love about this set is that all of these snowflakes have dies to cut them out. So that makes it really fun to have a hot foiled snowflake. I picked some out that I liked for the front of my card on different colors of cardstock, and I'm going to cluster those there in that bottom corner, and then I can save the others maybe for the inside of my card. I stamped Have an Ice Day from the new Snowman stack stamp set from Trinity Stamps. It's so cute. I've only used the sentiments on it yet, but I really love the die. It's like a stack of different snowmen. You'll see me use it soon because it's so cute. So I die cut that out after having embossed the words with white, and then I'm going to put my little cluster together of my snowflakes here, and then I'll add my sentiment. It'll be like a little collaged element for my sentiment, and I just think that's a really fun look. So yeah, pull out stuff from your stash when you're, creating. Maybe you get a new die set like I did with the Polar Pals, and then I shopped my own stash to be like, what else do I have that I can bring new life to with these new products that I have? So I just love doing that. And I don't know, it gets me like my creative mojo flowing. So my final step usually is embellishment and highlights. So I've got my white gel pen out. I'm adding some white highlights to all my die cut paper pieces, but I also have some pieces on here that are foam, that are glitter paper. So I'm using an acrylic marker from Copic and adding some white highlights to those pieces that don't love the white gel pen. You know what I mean? Like they just don't mix. So having an acrylic marker, a paint marker, works great for those types of things. I'm adding this panel that we made, the shaker panel, to an A2 size card base. So that is a 5.5 by 8.5 inch piece of cardstock, and it is scored at 4 1/4. Then I'll bring in my extra snowflakes that I have and add those to the inside of the card, just to bring some of that fun, shiny snowflake fun to the inside. So that's card number 1, the Snowman Shaker. I love it. It could be hard to top, but now we're going to make a shaped card. So we're going to bring back that die set. It's called the Takeout Coffee Cup Shaped Card. There it is. And we're going to use that piece that I already die cut to make the snowman card, because not only is this a completely standalone die set, but you can combine the coffee on the go set with the takeout set. You can put the two together, they work together, they layer. It's so awesome. All right, so I've cut out the card base itself, the shaped card, and I can put that pattern paper on there that I already die cut out, and I'm just gonna build my penguin right on top of that. So instead of doing a black body, I'm gonna do this snowflake one, and I just think that's really fun. I added the white center of his body. I did the little beak, and then we need the little squinty eyes, and then we are pretty much sporting a penguin right there, but he's going to be even cuter with a scarf. And I just realized I put part of the lid on my Polar Pal set, but it goes with that one. So it looks very much like the scarf, but it's not. So I'm going to add a red and white striped scarf here. Isn't that fun? So cute. Also, I pulled out the eyes from the snowman and used those to create cheeks because I love a pink cheek. So I'm going to multi-purpose that. All right, now the lid from the takeout set is different from the lid on the to-go set. They're similar, but different. The one in the takeout set doesn't have the embossed detail. You add the detail with a stencil that comes with it. So that's really cool. But you could also use that stencil with this one that presses the dies, press the detail into it. So lots of choices. I'm also using that little stopper, and I will go ahead and add some shading to my pieces with my Lost Shadow again, so you can see how awesome it works on white as well. It's going to be really subtle. Instead of using a really dark gray, this Lost Shadow and the really light color to it, and it has a little bit of warmth to it, is perfect for that barely there shadow. It's so good. Lost Shadow for the win. Yeah, and I'm going to do that on not only this body piece, but also on the scarf. And then I'm going to add a little bit of color to my cheeks and my beak as well. Now, the brush I'm using is from Trinity Stamps. It's their new shading sidekick. It's fast become my favorite because I like dusting the edge of things like I just showed you there. But also when you want to do traditional style ink blending where you're swirling your brush around on your mat, like I'm about to do right here, it is such a soft, fluffy brush, but the bristles are dense that it really allows you to shade without getting a harsh line. They're magical. I'm going to add a tiny bit of color on those pink cheeks just to brighten them up. If you want to elevate your die cutting game, try shading all the little things. It's quick and easy, but I always say love is in the details. So give it a try if you have not. Sometimes you're in the mood for it and it's fun to do. Other times you need quick and easy. This card could be so quick and easy. If you didn't do the shading, you could make it with little kids. So it just depends on what you're in the mood for, right? Do what makes you happy. All right, so now let's put all the things together, just really layering them up and gluing things in place. So I have my pattern paper that went onto the shaped card. I added the penguin's body. I added the lid, which I already pieced together, and then tweezers again for the win, adding the little squinty eyes. And you can play around with placement on these too to, you know, maybe change up your character a little bit, put the eyes down a little bit lower, however you want. I changed mine up by adding some of those little pink cheeks, which were also the snowman's eyes, but look how cute they are. They're so fun. So shop your dies. Maybe you have a little oval die for something you could use as a cheek and you would like that, but I just think it's really fun to try to repurpose your dies and use them in different ways, get more uses out of them, which I'm going to do again on my next card. But there it is. I mean, you could be done right here. You know I'm going to add some white highlights though, right? So here's the gel pen, and also you could easily add a gift card on the inside of this shaped card. There is a die that creates what would be the coffee on the inside of the card, and you could use that and just do glue on 3 sides of that coffee, and you can tuck the card into that. I don't know why I didn't do it on any of these cards. Yeah, but I have on my other ones, so make sure you watch my other videos. I will link those too for you at the end of this video. Okay, let's move on to card number 3. This is the polar bear, and I'm pulling out more of these papers. I bought this paper pad, I think, when I was at a scrapbook expo last year. So it's really fun for these cards. Okay, next I am going to create kind of a fun fold. And so what I'm doing is creasing my card. It's A2 size, and then I'm gonna have it open backwards and cut off part of that flap. So the flap that's showing is actually 2 1/8 of an inch by 5 1/2. And then I added a layer that's 1/4 of an inch smaller. And I'll add the same size to the other side of the card. So I have this kind of divided panel. It opens backwards, and we're going to add the shaped card to this. Yeah. So here's that shaped card again, and we're going to build the polar bear onto this. Now you could create a regular, a brown bear, a black bear, a grizzly bear, maybe a red panda bear, maybe a koala bear, I don't know. But I'm going to create a polar bear. Now this piece right here that you see me messing with, that's the body to the penguin. But I felt like if I did white on white, it really could also create more of a shape for the face of the bear. I was loving it. So let me know what you think about using that piece right there, not just for the penguin, but also for the bear. Yeah. And having his like little muzzle and his connected nose and mouth, it really brings him to life as a bear. Also, I did those cheeks, which are the snowman's eyes. He is going to get a scarf. Yeah, let's do this like Argyle print. Argyle? Houndstooth. It's a houndstooth and it's super cute for a scarf. Then for the actual lid, I'm going to show you this one that is, you still piece it together, but there is a stencil you can use to give it that detail. So we're going to do that. We're going to shade all the things. And again, I'm using Lost Shadow and my shading sidekick brush. So here's the little stencil. You can line it up with the lines that are on the stencil. It's got some etched lines for you. And do you notice that the stencil does not go or it goes past the edge of the die cut, which is so nice because that allows you to be able to stencil the actual edge of the die cut. So I'm really focusing my ink on that larger section on the edges and not so much in the middle. Now for this tiny little piece, I'm just going to add a dusting of color to the bottom of it, just really lightly. And you can see adding that die cut really brings it to life. Now, if you don't want the die cut, there's a portion of the stencil you could stencil there instead. There's just tons of options with this, which I love. It just depends on how you want to decorate it, how you want to stamp it, if you want to use pattern paper, what look you're going for. All right, so we've added the scarf, and then I'm adding on my little parts and pieces. So the squinty eyes. Also, you might notice the inside of his ears and the lid of my cup are very, and his muzzle are very, very light gray cardstock that I had on hand. And I like that tiny bit of contrast for the bear. So there he is. I put that same snowflake on the little stopper to the cup, and then I'm covering the back of this shaped card with adhesive, and that is going to nestle in this card. You see how I put it behind that flap? Now I have a flap and a flap and a flap and a flap. Just like that. We're going to have a little surprise sentiment on the inside with this cuppa sentiment. This is made to go with these coffee cups, and there's a circular sentiment, and there's also a heart or a star that you could put in the center if you like, and it says, "Words cannot espresso what you mean to me." Isn't that cute? There's a bunch more punny sentiments in that set too. There is a die in the takeout shape card die set to cut that out, and that's going to go on the inside flap of my card. So I adhered it down, but I realized that this card is not laying flat, like at all. It's kind of popping open. So that gave me the idea to use some magnets. So I have a little scrap of paper here, and I'm using it as a paper saw. You see me sawing, 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 and then I was able to get under that adhesive. Everything is good. And then I'm bringing in some paper crafting magnets here. You need a plus and a minus, and they stick right together. We need the magnet to help keep it closed. So I added some foam squares that are a thin foam square, and then I realized, oh, that's where my magnet goes. So I needed an opening for that. So I'm covering up the magnet that you would see on the inside of the card, but the one on the bear, I did not cover that up. I didn't feel like it was necessary. All right, so now we decorate. I am die cutting out this big snowflake. This is just a 3-piece, I think it's Snowflake Trio die set from Trinity, and then I am going to cut the shadow layer from white and do some Uncharted Mariner ink on that, just really concentrating the darkest part to the outside and leaving a kind of a white highlight in the center, and look how that pops and just really goes with the pattern paper that I chose. So this is going on the inside, and I only put the foam squares, the thin foam squares, in the bottom right corner so I could tuck a little gift card in there. So you're gonna kind of open and reveal the gift card on this, and I think that's really a fun way to use the takeout cup set as in another way, not just using it as a shape card. All right, so I felt like I needed more. I like stamping on the lid of this. I just curved my stamp a little bit and it says, "I miss you a latte," and stamp that with black ink, and then "Words cannot espresso what you mean to me." Isn't that sweet? You could secure that gift card down with a mini glue dot, and there's still room in there to write your little message on the flaps. So I think this card is really fun, a fun way to use that takeout cup set. Another idea for you if you have them. They have been out of stock at Trinity Stamps and they are back, baby. So check them out if you don't already have these. But since they sold out, maybe a lot of you already have this Polar Pal set. You have the coffee to go set. You have the takeout cup. Let me know in the comments below if you have these, and maybe you got a new idea while you were here watching my video today. I so appreciate you watching, and chat with me in the comments below. I love to hear from you. Do you have a favorite of the cards you saw today? Let me know, and I will see you all again very soon with a new card making video. Happy stamping! Bye!